You just had one of those crazy weekends, bouncing around town, partying from night until morning. Oh man, did you sleep after that? You get up not knowing what day it is and turn on the television. On the news, you see before you are segments of people packed into supermarkets emptying shelves. The words at the bottom of the screen are global pandemic, public told to go into self-quarantine. Pandemic comes from the Greek word pandemos. The pan part means all and the demos part means people. So if something is a pandemic, it's spread all over the place, and that can be quite bad. The flu pandemic of 1918 killed somewhere between 20 and 50 million people. The Black Death pandemic in the 14th century took out somewhere between 75 and 200 million people, a huge chunk of the world's population at the time. We're not trying to be fearmongers here, but if one day you in fact were told by your government a pandemic was on its way or already happening and that you should prepare to stay indoors, what should you do? Since the government has made this stern warning, we suggest when you're out you keep your distance from other people. That doesn't mean creating hysteria by running away from people, but on your shopping spree you might not want to shake hands too much or start going in for lots of hugs. You should also try not to touch your nose, your mouth, eyes, really your face at all while on this trip. To be super safe when you get home, get rid of the masks and the shopping bags and even put your clothes into a plastic bag. And give those hands of yours a thorough wash. Wash for at least 20 seconds under hot water. Soap and water will work, and you can wipe with sanitizer too. Some people believe vodka can be used as a hand sanitizer, and it can be in a pinch, but alcohol-based sanitizers are much stronger. So don't bother with the vodka and save it for a cocktail instead. The first thing you'll need is food. How long will you stay indoors? Let's say 2 weeks. So it's best to buy food that won't perish quickly. You could buy dried foods such as oats, pasta, and rice, canned foods such as tuna, beans, soup, fruits, and vegetables, powdered milk, and foods you can freeze are another good idea if you have the space. Healthy food is better because this will help your immune system, so we suggest a balanced diet. Don't load up your freezer with frozen pizzas and ice cream, though you should make sure you have something to eat as a little treat. Quarantine doesn't mean no fun. Don't forget that if you have pets, to make sure that they have enough food for a couple of weeks as well. This is not the 1300s, and most of us today believe scientists and medical professionals will be able to get things under control quite quickly. But still, having 2 weeks worth of food on hand is never a bad idea. We suggest you don't buy more than you need. Hoarding is not a good idea. It can create panic, and obviously people can lose out. If they lose out, they're at risk, which puts more people at risk. It might seem like a good idea at the start to stockpile for a year, but doing that could actually create a bigger problem. Unlike during a major natural disaster, it's highly unlikely there will be a water interruption during a pandemic. But for peace of mind, buy enough bottled water for 2 weeks. The suggested amount of water to have on hand is a gallon a day for each person. If you live in a country where the tap water isn't safe to drink, then it's very important you have enough water. You may also want to buy water filters or water purification tablets to make the tap water safe. Some people take medications that are required and could severely harm their health if not taken. If you're diabetic or asthmatic, for example, you are very aware of how important it is to have some excess in case of shortages or supply problems. So we suggest if you take life-saving drugs, you stock up on those. Then there are people who take strong pain medications or psychiatric drugs. If you've been taking an opioid for a long time, it's not advisable to suddenly withdraw from it. This can be painful, but also very dangerous, and even life-threatening. It's the same with anxiety medications such as Valium or Xanax. Sudden withdrawal after long-term use can cause seizures and even death. You also want to have a medical kit in your house if you're quarantined. Put in things like electrolytes and vitamins, a thermometer, and some medications for common ailments like stomach cramps or colds. Just the regular stuff you can buy over the counter. Someone might cut themselves, so have some minor bandages and antibacterial ointments. Obviously, you can only take care of minor injuries. If it's serious, you'll have to take that trip to the hospital. If someone gets sick in your house, this could be a problem because that person might already have infected another person, but they also might not have. We suggest taking that person to the hospital, and if that's not possible, put them in a separate room. If you have to touch them, wear gloves and a mask, and make sure they are wearing a mask. Again, keep washing those hands and getting rid of those masks. You'll also want to keep yourself and your house clean, so we suggest you buy things such as disinfectants. You might also want to get enough bathroom supplies such as diapers for babies, toothpaste, shampoo, feminine supplies, and toilet paper. Also buy things like laundry detergent and dishwashing liquid. Again, we'll stress you don't need to hoard a huge stockpile of these items, but enough for a few weeks. 2 weeks can be a long time if you lose your glasses and have poor eyesight, so you might want to have a spare pair at hand. If you're hard of hearing, buy extra hearing aid batteries. If you have devices that run on batteries, buy extra batteries for those things. It's the same with something like a can opener. What if that breaks and you've got stacks of canned food to eat? Okay, well, there are ways of getting into cans, but having a spare can opener isn't a bad idea. If you're a family, you're probably used to going nights on end with someone watching TV, another person on their phone, and another person on their PlayStation, but 2 weeks is a long time to spend together. It would be a good opportunity to do some family things, such as playing card or board games. 2 weeks of family time could turn out to be a positive thing. It might also be a good time to read a few books or start meditating or do some push-ups and get fit. Try to make the best out of this quarantine period. We hope you don't have to be quarantined, but at least now you know what you'll need if it does happen. You know what else you could do during a quarantine period? You could also educate yourself with some of our videos. In 2 weeks, we think you could almost go through our entire catalog. And we think a good start would be a video like this one, 50 insane Cold War facts that will shock you. If that doesn't work for you, try this video.